truthfully, it's frustrating to see how fast dust reappears.
But dusting with a cloth is a pain.
And dealing with a bulky vacuum is such a hassle. Ugh. So now, we use our Swiffer sweeper
and dusters. The fluffy fibers, they pick up dust easily, grabbing it in all those hard-to-reach places. Gotcha!
And for our floors, Sweeper's textured cloths lock all kinds of dirt, dust, and pet hair. Unlike my vacuum, it sneaks under and around places. Look at that.
Dust-free and hassle-free.
Stop cleaning, start Swiffering.
I am Beyonce.
I have an obsession to look like Barbie.
This new Lifetime special is taking celeb doppelgangers to a whole new level. Look-alike Love premieres tomorrow. It focuses on 4 women who have gone to extreme...
Happening now.
Areas of river flooding as a result of very heavy rainfall today. I'll have the latest and most updated information on that. Talk about how much rain fell and where, and our rain chances for the rest of the week. I'll see you in a bit.
Leon Creek is already high, and it's predicted to get even higher. What about the people who live nearby? That story coming up.
Firefighters are busier than ever and responding to house fires caused by lightning strikes. Coming up, what to do if you find yourself in this dangerous scenario.
First at 5 right now, we have to talk about the creek and river flooding that we have ongoing, particularly the Leon Creek right near I-35. It's at major flood stage right now. It's about to crest, and currently it's at about 25.8 feet, which is about 11 feet above flood stage. And this is causing some issues, of course, in that area of I-35 and even Laredo Highway and even a mobile home park right there. As we get into the night, as that water continues to flow southward and the confluence of a few creeks and rivers near basically Medina River near 281, that's likely to crest and reach major flood stage overnight tonight at about 31.5 feet. So that's something we have to watch for this area near 281 overnight tonight. This is what caused it. 36-hour rainfall totals. This isn't just today, but it includes yesterday rainfall. Look at these accumulations in that area of Leon Creek. Parts of just northwest of Leon Valley, over 9 inches of rain actually measured by rain gauges. These aren't estimates, they're actual measurements. Just north of SeaWorld, nearly 8 inches of rain, 7.76. You get on 1604, 5.62 in Helotes. Just north of Six Flags, about 7 inches of rain. That all came in 2 short periods of time, one last night and one this morning. In turn, the flash flooding and now the river and creek flooding issues. You look at the radar currently, and luckily things have lightened up quite a bit. We don't have much action around San Antonio. A little bit scattered elsewhere, even closer to the Rio Grande, but overall not a whole lot of activity to speak of at the moment. Hey, Divine picked up 1.88. Check out this, Leon Springs, 3.75. We're going to talk more about how much rain fell and where and the potential for the next few days coming up.
Adam, almost 10 inches of rain near Leon Valley.
In 36 hours.
That's crazy. Thank you. By the way, we want to talk about some of the road closures that are out there. 35 south at Leon Creek is closed. Leon Creek, you will notice, is the center of a lot of these flooding anxieties. Also closed southbound 35 at Highway 16, which is Bandera Road.
Also northbound 35 at 410. We're getting reports of evacuations that are currently underway because areas that were not submerged by water or rainfall or anything earlier today, all that water in those creeks are now rising. We're getting word of a mobile home park that's getting evacuated right now, as well as some horse stables over in the Lackland Air Force Base area. So there are trouble spots that are now bubbling up as those rivers and creeks rise.
Yep, all that rain making a busy day for rescue crews. 2 people okay after they were rescued at Vance Jackson and Loop 410 this morning.
The San Antonio Fire Department telling us that they initially received a report around 9:30 about 3 people needing help. 2 people were found, but SAFD is now saying a 3rd person may have been swept away. They had crews out there searching by boat from 410 to Alamos Basin, did not find anyone.
Yeah, the search called off until the San Antonio Fire Department gets more information about what's happening there. And as we said, a big trouble spot today, Leon Creek, a flood warning is in effect there.
Now, this creek is expected to rise to the highest level since 1991, and the rain has halted a construction project there, at least for now. You're looking at video that we actually were showing you earlier today. It shows this was a container that disconnected from its drainage pipes. The water filled in a hole in that geyser that you're seeing. Well, that was the end result once that equipment went into the hole.
Yeah, so we talked to the San Antonio water system. They tell us they have a sewer project nearby, but construction has not started. So the water we see here is all flood water, even what's shooting up. This is not a sewer spillage.
I don't think it's shooting up any longer, but that area is still inundated with flood waters. And there are so many concerns for those who live near that swelling creek, at least by I-35.
Over by Highway 90, things looking different than what we saw this morning. Our Jesse DeGriato has been following the rise of water and anxiety levels along Leon Creek. Jesse, some homeowners just hoping things don't get worse out there.
I tell you what, Steve and Ursula, I heard that more than once from residents here in this neighborhood and also on the other side of the creek. Now, mind you, we wouldn't be standing here. We couldn't have been standing here earlier today because at that point, right around noon, I'm told, the creek actually crested right around noon. So now the water level has dropped to the relief, I'm sure, of a lot of homeowners right now because again, they were fearing the worst given the earlier predictions. Now, mind you, I'm on the west side of the creek right now, but a father and son on the east side of the creek, who I spoke to earlier, said that they'd never seen Leon Creek flowing this high or flowing this fast. They said that they were certainly concerned when the rain just kept coming and coming, harder and harder, and relieved when it finally stopped, even though when we spoke, we were about 15 to 20 feet or so above the creek.
Pretty sure it's going to get worse, and I hope it doesn't, and I'll keep praying that it doesn't get any worse than this. Yes. Keep our fingers crossed, yes.
Well, although they didn't think the creek would overflow and flood their neighborhood, and thank goodness apparently it didn't, Rebus says he still may consider buying flood insurance in the near future, just in case. Now, coming up, we'll hear from a homeowner on the other side of the creek who says that it seems to her, at least, that the banks or the channel of the creek seems to have widened so that it wouldn't run quite as deeply. So we'll hear more about her coming up at 6. We're live here on Leon Creek on the southwest side. Jesse DeGriato, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jesse. Quite a scene there over in Leon Valley. Floodwater preventing some people from getting home, even leaving home in some cases. One homeowner says there was so much water it knocked over his fence. Javier Morales told our crews he's lived in the area for 8 years, has never experienced this much rain. Still, he says he feels lucky compared to some neighbors who are unable to leave their homes.
As you can see, it's about 120 feet of fence gone. So, and it went all the way into my yard. Nobody can get back there. The water's flooded, and the road's flooded up there.
At least one person told our crews water was making its way into her home. At last check, no one has been able to get to her property to actually help. Now.
What you're looking at here, video sent in by KSAT viewer John Zettler. It is a power line setting fire to a tree this morning in the 900 block of Oblate. A branch caught fire for a few seconds. The flames didn't stick around. The power line, though, eventually snapped, and that, of course, caused an even bigger problem. Now, during a lightning strike, that is what is expected to have caused a house fire near Alamo Ranch and Alamo Parkway today. Tiffany Ware just spoke to a local fire chief about recent structure fires in that area, all of them struck by lightning. Tiffany, what do residents do now to help the firefighters?
Ursula, a local fire chief, says remember not to stuff your attic with items because it makes it difficult for firefighters to put out that fire. But take a look at this home here on the far west side. Neighbors tell me they heard when the lightning hit the home last night, and you can see the roof collapsed. Jerry BIALICK, the fire chief at the BULVERDE Volunteer Fire Department, says most of the time lightning hits the attic of homes. Last month, during another storm, they had 3 structure fires calls within 19 minutes, and they were all struck by lightning.
Typically, we find that the damage that's resulting from lightning is most heavily concentrated in the attic, which is kind of natural where the lightning hits.
The fire chief says it's unclear which homes will be hit by lightning, but says residents who have gas in their homes should also keep the gas meter clear so they can find it. BIALICK says the first thing they do when they go to these structure fires is they shut off the utilities. Reporting from the far west side, Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Tiffany, and much more on our weather situation coming up. But let's check in on Florida now, where Tropical Storm Elsa is making search and rescue efforts near Miami even more difficult. As ABC's Rena Roy explains, crews already dealing with outer bands now bracing for even tougher conditions, with the storm expected to make landfall in Florida tonight.
Florida now under a state of emergency with the growing threat of Tropical Storm Elsa. But crews relying on expertise and dedication still fighting through the rain and wind as they search for victims.
The wind is hampering the large cranes moving very heavy debris. That's a challenge that they're attempting to work around right now.
Weather Service officials joining those rescue teams on the ground to keep an eye on deteriorating conditions, making sure it's safe for first responders.
We do continue to expect occasional gusts and strong showers today, and we're closely monitoring the weather.
Several more bodies have been pulled from the rubble after the remainder of the condo building was demolished Sunday, with workers now able to reach every corner of debris as they also meticulously gather evidence to figure out how this happened.
They're capturing all possible insights from the debris, and all evidence is being properly tagged and logged.
Meantime, so many families still in limbo, waiting for news on their loved ones nearly 2 weeks later. Some, like Ashley Dean, holding out for a miracle.
I feel so empty because Cassie was just so full of life, and not only for me, but for all of our family and all of her friends. I struggle to even grasp the thought of living the rest of my life without her.
And just to give an idea of how much debris there really is, the fire rescue chief says crews have removed 5 million pounds off the top of the pile. Local officials now promising policy change at every level in the building process to ensure this never happens again. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
An update now on a body found in East Bexar County on Saturday. The victim has been identified as Robert Edward Adams II. His body found Saturday afternoon along Highway 87 near Rakowitz Road. The Bexar County Sheriff's Office believes he was hit by a driver. At last check, that driver has not been found.
New at 5, an SAPD officer arrested overnight in connection with a drunk driving crash. Officer Desi Rios is charged with DWI as well as failure to stop and provide information. Investigators say he crashed around midnight along BULVERDE Road near Loop 1604 East. They say he left the scene and then was followed and confronted by the other driver. Rios is accused of assaulting that driver during the confrontation and could face additional charges pending an investigation. Rios has a history of road rage incidents, including a road rage shootout back in 2018 that left a man paralyzed from the waist down. You can read the full story right now on KSAT.com. When it comes to getting dangerous products out of stores and out of homes, you may assume the government regulators are able to move quickly, but that is not always the case. How companies can get around it and what you need to know next. It's the Consumer Product Safety Commission's job to recall unsafe products, but getting it done quickly is not always
I'm just going to leave it. He did core work, so he's making progress.
The pregame report on Giannis Antetokounmpo before the NBA Finals tip-off tonight on KSAT 12. Apparently, the work has paid off as the Milwaukee Bucks have upgraded the status of star player Giannis Antetokounmpo from doubtful to questionable for tonight's Game 1 of the NBA Finals in Phoenix. Giannis hasn't played since he hyperextended his left knee in Game 4 against the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals and has not played since. Still, the Bucks were able to beat the Hawks in 6 games thanks to both Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, who stepped up to close out the Hawks. Now they still may have to do the same tonight against the Suns if they have a shot at their second NBA championship in franchise history. For head coach Mike Budenholzer, this will be his 6th NBA Finals appearance, but his first as a head coach after reaching 5 finals as the assistant coach under Greg Popovich with the Spurs. What advice, if any, has he offered to Mike?
He's kicked me out of 8 years. He's like, I think you have to figure it out on your own. So, I feel fortunate to have been, through the finals before as an assistant coach and watch great players and great coaches, manage and work through it. But I think just, focused on our group and excited about what we're doing. And we're trying to find our way, just, myself, the team, the group. That's the challenge.
The Phoenix Suns are now 6-point favorites tonight for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. That's after they had 6 days rest since eliminating the Los Angeles Clippers to win the Western Conference ahead of the Finals for the first time since 1993. For Chris Paul, this is his first ever trip to the NBA Finals in his 16-year NBA career. And for him, watching the reaction of his family has elevated his emotions going into this championship series.
I think that's probably the most exciting part is my kids are of the age that they know everything that's going on. My daughter, who hasn't been a fan of any of my games my whole career, I think that's probably what touched me after the Western Conference Finals, is to see her with emotions and see her so excited. So, just enjoying the process and all the different moments of it, but ready to go.
Yeah, that's fun to watch it through the child's eyes. Now, here's the first 4 games. First 2 will be in Phoenix starting tonight with Game 1 at 8 p.m. Next 2 will be in Milwaukee starting on Sunday. Earlier tip time at 7 p.m. So that means we'll be on a little bit late tonight on the Night Beat.
A lot of storylines in this game.
Big time.
Thanks, Greg.
We'll be right back.
They are normally creeks that don't pose much of a threat. Almost Creek, and this is the swollen Leon Creek. We are near a mobile home park that is being evacuated as we speak.
We're going to have much more on this story coming up next on KSAT 12 News at 6. Meantime, World News is next.